Well, good afternoon for me. Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you, Frank, for inviting me.
So I have a question to start with. And please correct me. Your name, Reina-Flor, and your full name. Could you just tell me the whole story of your name and all the different parts of your name? I just find it fascinating, and I don't like to mispronounce people's names as well.
All right. So my name is Reina-Flor Okori Makendengue, and just like name tell a lot about who we are. So that's already a start of the story. Um, Reina-Flor, it's a Spanish name, which means queen and flower.
Nice, yes.
I always make jokes, say to my mother, you were so out of the blue when you gave birth to me that you call me Queen of Flower. And because so far I'm the only person I know and on ever, I never met someone who's called Reina-Flor.
Me
So
neither.
it's really,
It's beautiful. That's a great name. Love it.
yes, thank you. And Okori, it's my grandfather's name. He came from Nigeria, from the Igbo ethnic. It's very important that I say the word ethnic and not tribe because we use this word a little bit without understanding. So he came from Nigeria. And then the other name is Makendenge, which is the name of my grandfather and who came from Equatorial Guinea.
Oh,
So I am, let's say, the face of the African diverse um, uh, person. Yeah, because I
yes.
have all these diverse backgrounds and ethnies and culture.
So, because I studied Spanish and I lived in Brazil, so I studied Portuguese, and Spanish and Portuguese are similar. The Reina Flor. Um, why the Spanish name, given your, and by the way, part of my family is Ghana and is from Ghana and from Nigeria. So, given your Equatorial Guinea and Nigerian background, why the Spanish Reina Flor?
Well, that's the history of Africa. That's the history of African descendant people, but that's also the history of people in the Americas, America Latina.
Yes,
We
true.
were Equatorial Guinea was the first country in Africa that was colonized by Spanish people. And they had settled in Equatorial Guinea. It was their garden of heaven
Yes.
and a very important place also for trade. And so many years, countries like France, Great Britain, Portugal, the Netherlands have fought for territory on this area because Equatorial Guinea is in the middle of the equatorial line, which was the road of slavery, but also the road for trade
Mm,
um, from Africa along the coast to the Indian Ocean
right.
and the other side to the Atlantic. So straight from Equatorial Guinea, there would be also a go and back.
So it was a strategic location.
They
Mm.
were strategic locations, so that's why I also have all this heritage. My father was a Dutch sailor, grandfather, so five generation.
Really
Um,
fascinating.
he was a Dutch sailor, and so he's a mulatto, and this name is not a very positive word because they used to call mulatto the baby of a donkey, you know. So,
Right.
but yeah, so this is why I have a Spanish name because Spain took over all these countries, Equatorial Guinea.
Thank you very much. So, four-time Olympic athlete. It's one thing to make it once. It's hard enough as you know of our family story. My grandfather and his older brother Dolphins in 1928. Vying for Olympic glory, and they couldn't make it right. And even Jesse Owens went there once, but I don't think he went back there four times. So tell us, this remarkable story of your journey to the Olympics and your persistence, obviously over multiple um, times entering the Olympics. Did you always know that you were fast, that you were a great runner? Can you tell us when you first came to understand that?
Well, this it's a sad story actually. When I first came to understand that I could run fast, but I didn't process it at the time. But I can tell it. When I was around 10 years old, because my mother, she was a student. So we moved from Equatorial Guinea to France.
I see.
And so this is how I became French. And that is why you can also hear my big French accent.
Yeah, beautiful accent.
And so we moved to France. And my mother, she studied psychology.
You moved, how old were you?
I was 3 years old. I was 3 years old. And my mother, she studied psychology, and during her study, she brought up me and my brother. So she was a young mother and studying, and being an
Wow.
African woman in France and
Wow.
studying was a big challenge for her because she was not coming from a place of misery. She was coming from a place of abundance, having parents being representing the government of Equatorial Guinea, working with the UNESCO, and but
Wow,
when
nice.
she had to come to France, then it was start again all over again. So she was a very good student, very great. She graduated, but that journey, she had to find solutions for us. When she would have summer vacancies, summer holidays, where she would take the summer holidays to go and work.
Right.
And so she would place us to families to spend the summer. And but these were family in the middle of nowhere in France who almost never saw a black kid. So just long story short, I remember I was invited with all this group of French children who were white children to hang out, and it was in the evening, and I thought that's great. I have friends, I'm going to make new friends. And as I arrived there, slowly I could feel that was not really a friendly invitation, and I could feel the threat. And I after a very important moment of decision, I had this clarity. I had to run away. Oh, it
Mm,
would be very bad for me if I would stay there. And this is history repeating himself, right? I mean, we have seen these scenes in many movies or stories, you know,
yeah.
when you just know you have to run or die. And that's what happened to me. And I ran as fast as I could. I ran so fast, no one could catch me. And so this is how I had this trigger like, hey, I can run fast. Okay, good. But the real moment I finally got the confirmation was when my sports teacher in high school saw my talent, and he was observing me, and I didn't know, and he was observing my athleticism. I had really a lot of it was easy for me to execute any sports. And so he invited me to go to a stadium to do a competition. And he was really kind, a Frenchman, very kind and loving, and a father of three children and two adopted one,
Really?
so 5 children. And I really, yeah, I found it interesting to leave the city, to leave my place, because I lived in the neighborhoods, I lived in the projects. So for me, going to the city was really a great opportunity to leave. And I did. I ran like Forrest, I always say, because I had no technique, no knowledge, no understanding of what I was doing there, only just get out of the house. And I won. And that's
Wow.
how the journey started. I won, and I won all the time. I won. Since then, I was part of the best athletes of France, and I did all the competition, and I excel at all of them. National champion, European champion, world champion. I did all the competition that all the youth are following, Olympic youth, European junior championship, world junior championships, etc., and always excelling. And so the long story short, that has led me to be the fifth fastest performer of France of all times. and to be today the only French African athlete to have participated at 4 Olympic Games consecutively.
Congratulations. That is just a remarkable story.
Thank you.
I listen to you tell that story. I mean, I just get goosebumps thinking about it because there's so many memories in our family of Olympic glory, and we never made it, and we tried so hard, including me. But what was it like for your family to make the adjustments? I just can't imagine like your mother and everything that she was dealing with, your brother, as well as just taking care of her own studies and work. And how did that, how did that, how did you manage, how did your family manage this? Because with our daughter, it costs us lots of money. We're at this volleyball tournament in Orlando. We were in Chicago last week, right? We travel everywhere for all of our gymnastics before. So how did
Yes.
your family adjust?
Well, we have a difference of culture, first of all. In France, we have the culture of, we call it Pierre de Coubertin. It means the most important is to participate. We don't promote professionalism in sports. And when my mother discovered that I had the talent for sports, she was so happy. She said, "Okay, great, go." Go do it. You go out of the house. That's wonderful, you know. So that
Great.
was great news for my mother. She almost never came to my training. She never was involved. Um, she was just totally not absent. It's not the term, but it was more like um, I was so gifted and talented that I went directly into all the national programs. So when I was 13 years old, I had already signed a major contract with Adidas,
Is
which
that right?
became my sponsor until I was 23. So by the age of 13 years old, I had to manage wealth, which I didn't know. So yeah, so it has been easy for my mother in that sense that she didn't have to be the manager or the momager
Right.
because first of all we don't have this culture in France and it's still a problem today, I think. And secondly, she completely detached herself from this notion of performance and prestige, because she's coming from a family of intellectual,
Yes.
and most African family they value this kind of excellency. You study to become a lawyer or a doctor, or not a top athlete. But what she kept doing was transmitting me the sense of excellency and honoring my commitments, and keep faith, always have a good resilience and faith, and never give up.
Yes. Very good. What great qualities. Um, So switching gears, you're you've since made a transition. Obviously, there's lots of things you learned about sports.
Yes.
You have a family. You're living in a different country. Can you just kind of tell us a bit about that transition? And if you don't mind, as part of that transition, could you many of us, right? We have so much admiration for great athletes and performances that they can take on in the moment of the times. What was it like? Could you just tell us, kind of behind the scenes, you're preparing for a big event or walking onto the Olympic stage? What actually happens behind the scenes as you prepare for that and as get ready to get on the starting line and you finish the race? Can you kind of just walk us through that and then tell us how you transition from that point to where you currently are today?
Well, I wish I had more time to explain all the journey. It has been such a formation for me, really a training for what I do today. And I think it's my life history. I think it's even my soulful purpose that I'm fulfilling today. I really believe that I come from a long line of people coming from Africa and that have had to go through the same path as myself, but where sports was not the medium that they had used to unleash or unlock their potential.
Right.
So for me, sports has been this instrument. But of course, as I was younger, I didn't really realize that what I was running for. I
Mm,
always I say that because as African descendant people, we are so gifted for athleticism, It doesn't matter where we are coming from. We have specific um, talents, whether for endurance or for speed, because that's our godly gift. So in that sense, I value that, but I don't really empathize on that. If I talk about peak performance, what I am most interested in is how do you use that medium, sports, to elevate your consciousness and other
Yes,
people's
yes.
consciousness,
Mhm.
because we don't want to reproduce the same scheme over and over again for our children, and we don't want them to think that they only have sports or other medium to thrive in this lifetime. So from that point of view, I can tell you, yes, of course, the journey of being an Olympic athlete has been tremendous. And for me, it was easy and at the same time difficult, because I was so talented and so gifted in at first that I was not prepared mentally to be tough. What we call mental toughness is to really um, master all these key factors for peak performance and talent mastery. And that's what I always talk about when I talk about younger African descendant athletes. It's not about talent; it's really about mastery. These key factors, which are mental health in the sense of well-being. Being aware of your sovereignty and having a great governance of that sovereignty.
Right.
Whether you win, whether you lose, you are just a wonderful creator. And
Yes.
this is the journey, is the winning. And that's where you win. It's how you challenge yourself to the journey, and then you go to the next. There is nothing at the top. There is nothing. When you
Very
reach that
good.
mountain, you think you become someone special. No, you don't become someone special. The winter, the summer, the spring, everything is going back again at its own cycle. And even if you become the goat, maybe people will forget about you sooner or later. You know,
Yes,
so
right.
it's very important. That is a major lesson that I have learned the hard way, because I was broken as an athlete. Yes, I have been 20 times champion of France. Yes, I was part of the 20 best in the world. I have participated at 4 Olympics, but I never won a gold medal, for example. And so many years I thought I didn't succeed, because
Hmm.
I always valued my performance with who I am.
Right,
I
exactly.
had led myself convinced with that also. So mental health, physical health. We know we are strong physically, we know we have capacities, but we need to understand how to use this vehicle and respect it, because go hard or go home, it's not necessary. I know it's a little bit disruptive, because still today, that's how most athletes are trained to think about. But actually, if your physical strength is it's a God gifted talent, it means that it's effortless.
Yes, yes.
So you don't have to go no pain, no gain. You have to transcend yourself into this godly super being, you know. Actually, the genie is not outside, it's inside. We are the
Right.
genie,
Mhm.
So if I knew how to tap into that energy, I think I would have thrived better, with the sense of I can explore and execute, express my infinite potential. And yes, then the nutritional health also comes along the way. As African descendant people, we are so diverse, and we are the most diverse being on earth.
Yes.
So diverse we are. And still, some things we need to know is how to personalize our health. And it starts with nutrition. And me growing up in France, I thought I was a French girl. I thought I'm a French. So the pain, le croissant, and the milk at breakfast, it's wonderful. But actually, my body just didn't accept it.
Mm.
And so I had to really understand personalized health, because I had a lot of inflammatory injuries, 4 major operations, break of Achilles break 3 times,
Mm,
the ACL break, and all of this took me many years, many months to come back, learn to walk, learn to run, learn to jump over the hurdles, learn to get back your leadership, learn to think again as a champion because of lack of understanding of the concept of personalized nutritional health.
right.
And I was in an environment where I could not get access to this knowledge because in France, we think that we are all French. We think that we all have the same needs. Now it starts to change, of course. And then personal marketing is the fourth key pillar because, and this in America, you guys are great with that. So there's no doubt when there is a talent, there is a team that comes along to teach that talent how to take ownership of his voice because it's important to build this talent and make it become an asset that will become a financial um, asset as well.
Right.
But me, I didn't learn that. So I had great sponsors, but I didn't look for more.
Oh, okay, right.
So I was not really exploring my full potential in that sense because now I need a lot of money for what I'm doing. I'm building a legacy and I need to transform the life of millions of people. So personal marketing is so important because this is the foundation of building that possibility to build this financial wealth. And that's the fifth pillar,
Right.
the pillar of financial wealth. Even if you win a little bit, you need to learn how to invest that money and transform it so that it becomes available for you, but also for your family and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that's a long answer, I know, but
Perfect answer.
it was
Yeah.
very important for me to say that because any top athlete will tell you about the behind the scenes of working hard, showing on time, discipline, mental toughness, intrinsic motivation. You guys already know that. There is nothing new I can teach you or share with you about that. What I really want to empathize in is if your talent is a super gift, it's a supernatural, it's a gift from God, let's say, then what is the price? What is it worth exploring and developing it? And then once you tap into this kind of consciousness, then I think you can go further and really enjoy the journey.
That is wisdom for the times. Final question. And
Thank you.
answer this as you see fit. Message you'd like to leave with us, and to the degree, since this is the 2024 Stroud Leadership Summit on Unity and AI, how can artificial intelligence or other technologies help our community, help athletes, prepare college students, many first generation in their family going to college, people of color, minorities? How might they benefit from artificial intelligence in any last words you can provide to our audience?
Well, first we need to know that the, we are the genie, okay? So we are the one programming all these tools. We are the one. The system does what we required it to do. And sometimes people forget that because there is a little bit of scarcity around this. And we know the statistics, they show that AI is already more smarter than a 9 years old child. And by 2030, it's going to be smarter than a 20 years old human. But let's not forget it's a tool that we use for ourselves. And it's not a tool that is going to transform us or change us because we are the genies. And that's why we need to tap into the wisdom of our ancestors
Mm,
and never forget about that wisdom because they have already shown us how infinite potential everything we can do, and AI really needs to stay a tool for the betterment of, let's say, of the human life in the society. But we need to keep faith in our potential because we are the one who are creating all these systems and all these tools. I don't know if my answer is relevant for you, but
It's very
I
real. Yes.
I think that we need to see us as winner and and not as the instrument of AI. And this is the best way we can keep control of our destiny, especially for African descendant people. It is not, there is no replacement. We are contributing to for the next generation because we are still connected to the wisdom of our ancestors. And that's a major key factor for us, for our success and for the future as well.
Reina-Flor, thank you very much for your time today, coming all the way from Amsterdam via, boy, so many places, the Latin American continent,
Yes.
France, and right here to all of you in the United States in Colorado Springs for the 2024 Stroud Leadership Summit. Again, thank you and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.